My name is Maya, and I am 24 years old, and right now, I am standing in a room full of people who want me dead. The air in the lawyer's office is thick, suffocating. Just 48 hours ago, my father, the billionaire tech mogul, Arthur Vance, was found dead at the bottom of his private estate's grand staircase. The police called it a tragic accident. I called it murder. But nobody listened to the estranged black sheep daughter. They are all here for the reading of the will. My stepmother, Evelyn, sits draped in designer black, weeping crocodile tears into a silk handkerchief. Beside her, my stepbrother, Julian, smirks, already sizing up the empire he thinks he's about to inherit. They think they've won. They think they successfully wiped me out of my father's life 3 years ago, when they framed me for stealing company secrets. The lawyer clears his throat, unfolding the heavy parchment. The room goes dead silent. To my wife, Evelyn, and my stepson, Julian, I leave the bare minimum legal requirement of $500,000 each. The lawyer reads, his voice trembling slightly. Evelyn gasps, her tears instantly freezing into rage. Julian stands up so fast his chair flips backward. What? That's impossible. The estate is worth $4 billion. The lawyer looks directly at me, his eyes filled with an unsettling mixture of pity and terror. The entirety of the Vance global empire, the properties, and all liquid assets are left solely to my biological daughter, Maya. A collective snarl rips through the room. Evelyn lunges toward me, her manicured nails clawing at the air, screaming that I forged the document. But before security can even step in, the lawyer holds up a hand, his face turning pale as ashes. There is a final clause, the lawyer whispers, looking at a secondary sealed red envelope. The inheritance is conditional. It will only be released if Maya survives the next 30 days, and Arthur left a personal note explaining why. The lawyer tears open the red envelope, pulls out a handwritten note from my father, and reads the words that make the blood freeze in my veins. Maya, if you are reading this, I am already dead. Do not trust the police and do not trust anyone in this room. But most importantly, look behind the painting in my study. I left proof that you are not my only living biological child. Your twin is coming for what is theirs. My heart stops. A twin? I was an only child. Suddenly, my phone buzzes violently in my coat pocket. I pull it out with trembling hands. It's an unknown number. I slide it open to see a single text message sent just 1 second ago. It's a live stream video link. I tap it. The camera is shaking, moving through a dark, familiar hallway. It's my dad's study. The camera pans to the grand painting on the wall, moves it aside, and reveals a hidden wall safe, already cracked open and completely empty. Then the camera slowly turns around, facing a dusty mirror. My breath hitches. A scream traps itself in my throat. Staring back at the camera is a face identical to mine, smiling a twisted, manic smile, holding a bloody knife. Thumbnail suggestion. A sharp split-screen layout. On the left, Maya's terrified face in high-contrast cinematic lighting. On the right, a dark, shadowy figure with an identical face holding a bloody knife, with ultra-bold text overlay in yellow and white. She has my face. The phone screen goes completely black. My hands are shaking so violently that the device slips from my fingers, clattering loudly against the hardwood floor of the lawyer's office. Maya, are you all right? The lawyer asks, his voice sounding like it's coming from underwater. I can't breathe. I look up and every eye in the room is locked on me. Evelyn is smiling now, a cold, calculated grin that tells me she knows exactly what just happened. Julian is whispering into his phone, his eyes darting toward the exit. They aren't shocked about a twin. They already knew. I have to go, I choke out, grabbing my phone and bolting for the door before anyone can stop me. I sprint out of the high-rise building and throw myself into the back of a waiting cab, screaming at the driver to head to the Vance estate. My mind is spinning at 1,000,000 miles an hour. A twin sister? How could my father hide an entire human being from me for 24 years? And if she was in his study just seconds ago, she might still be there. 30 minutes later, the cab screeches to a halt outside the iron gates of the mansion. The estate is eerily quiet. The heavy oak front doors are unlocked, swinging open into the dark, cavernous foyer. Hello? I call out, my voice echoing off the marble walls. No response. I sprint up the grand staircase, the exact stairs, where my father's body was found, and burst into his private study. The room is in total darkness, except for a single beam of moonlight. Cutting through the heavy velvet curtains, it shines directly onto the wall. The massive oil painting of our family lineage has been ripped off its hooks, slashed to ribbons on the floor. Behind it, the heavy steel safe stands wide open, Empty. Looking for this? A voice purrs from the darkest corner of the room. A voice that sounds exactly like mine. My heart drops into my stomach. I freeze as a figure slowly steps out of the shadows, walking into the moonlight. I feel like I am looking into a twisted, distorted mirror. She has my eyes, my hair, my stature, but her smile is dripping with pure malice. In her left hand, she casually twirls a silver flash drive. In her right, she holds the same bloody knife from the video. Who are you? I whisper, my voice cracking. I'm the daughter who didn't get the billions. Maya, she sneers, taking a slow, predatory step toward me. I'm the one. Father locked away in the asylum so you could play the perfect little heiress. My name is Iris, and I've come to take back my life. I back away until my spine hits the cold metal of the empty safe. You killed him. I breathe, realization hitting me like a physical blow. You pushed him down the stairs. Iris chuckles, a low, terrifying sound. Oh, Maya, I didn't push him. He jumped, trying to get away from me. She raises the knife, the silver blade gleaming in the moonlight. I brace myself to fight for my life, but suddenly, the heavy oak door of the study slams shut behind me. The locks click into place from the outside. From the other side of the door, I hear Julian's voice laughing hysterically. Perfect. Both Vances in one room. Burn it down, Evelyn. Let the twin maniacs take the blame for the fire. Before I can even process his words, the strong, choking smell of gasoline begins to seep under the door, and the faint crackle of a spark echoes from the hallway. Iris's manic grin instantly vanishes, replaced by pure panic as she looks at the door, then back at me. Thumbnail. Suggestion. A dramatic split screen. On the left, Maya and Iris standing face to face in the dark study, identical, but one holding a knife. On the right, bright orange flames licking the bottom of the locked door, with ultra-bold text overlay. Trapped with my clone. The acrid smell of gasoline fills the air, burning my throat. Within seconds, a wall of orange fire bursts through the bottom of the oak door, roaring into the study like a living monster. Julian and Evelyn are actually doing it. They're burning us alive to claim the Empire. No, no, no! Iris screams, her terrifying confidence instantly evaporating into pure panic. She lunges toward the locked door, pounding on it with her fists, but the intense heat forces her back, coughing violently. Iris, the balcony, move! I yell, my survival instincts taking over. We rush toward the heavy glass doors leading to the second-story terrace. The wood behind us is exploding into sparks, smoke filling the room so thick I can barely see my own hands. I throw my weight against the glass door, but it's jammed shut from the outside. Julian didn't just lock the main door. He sealed the exits. Stand back! Iris roars. She smashes the butt of her knife into the glass. It shatters into a million glittering pieces. Cool night air rushes in, but the oxygen only makes the fire behind us rage harder. We scramble out onto the stone balcony, just as a massive backdraft blows the study doors off their hinges inside. I look over the railing. It's a 20-foot drop into the rose bushes below. We have to jump! I shout over the roar of the flames. Iris looks at me, her face smeared with ash, her identical eyes wide with terror. For a split second, the monster is gone, and she just looks like my sister. She grips the silver flash drive tightly in her hand, then looks back at the drop. If we die, they win, she spits out. On 3. 1, 2, 3! We vault over the stone railing together, plunging into the darkness. The impact hits me like a semi-truck. The thorny rose bushes break my fall, but tear painfully into my skin. I roll onto the grass, gasping for air, every bone in my body aching. I look around wildly through the thick smoke pouring from the mansion. Iris, I cough out. A few feet away, Iris is already on her feet, limping heavily but moving fast. She doesn't look back at me. She runs toward the edge of the estate, disappearing into the dark woods bordering the property. Wait, Iris! I try to stand, but a sharp blinding pain shoots up my ankle. I collapse back into the grass. Sirens wail in the distance. Someone in the neighborhood must have seen the smoke. I know I can't be found here. Evelyn will just tell the police I started the fire. Dragging my injured leg, I crawl into the shadows of the outer brick wall, slipping through a side gate just as the first fire trucks roar up the driveway. An hour later, I'm sitting in a dimly lit, 24-hour laundromat 3 miles away, shivering under a cheap blanket I bought from a gas station. My phone is dead, my father is dead, and my inheritance is a death sentence. I look at my reflection in the glass of a spinning washing machine. I look completely ruined, but as I stare at my face, A horrific thought crosses my mind. Iris has my face. She has my fingerprints. She has my DNA. Suddenly, the overhead TV screen in the corner of the laundromat flickers, cutting away from a movie to a breaking news report. A news anchor stands outside the burning Vance estate. We break now for a shocking update on the Vance family tragedy. The anchor says, police have just issued an emergency. Arrest warrant for Maya Vance. Security footage from a nearby traffic camera has just captured her fleeing the scene of the arson, but that's not all. Authorities state they have found forensic evidence linking Maya directly to the murder of her father, Arthur Vance. My jaw drops. They are framing me for everything. Then my dead phone suddenly vibrates in my hand. The screen lights up, overriding the dead battery icon. A new text message appears on the screen. It's from Iris. They think you did it, sister. And by morning, I'm going to make sure they're right. Thanks for the identity. Thumbnail suggestion. A high-contrast split screen. On the left, Maya watching her own face on a glowing TV screen with the word wanted over it. On the right, Iris standing under a street lamp, smiling evilly as she cuts her hair to match Maya's exact style. With ultra-bold text overlay, she stole my life. My heart hammers against my ribs like a trapped bird. I stare at the glowing phone screen, Iris's words burning into my mind. She isn't just trying to kill me. She is going to systematically erase me and step into my shoes. To the world, Maya Vance will be a fugitive murderer, while Iris walks away with $4 billion. I need to get to the one person who might have answers before she does. Marcus Vance, my father's estranged younger brother. He was banished from the family a decade ago for digging into my father's past. If anyone knows the truth about the asylum or Iris, it's him. Ignoring the agonizing throbbing in my ankle, I limp out of the laundromat into the pouring rain. I keep my hood pulled low, flinching at every passing headlights. It takes me 2 grueling hours to reach the industrial district on the edge of the city, where Marcus runs a secluded, high-tech salvage yard. The heavy iron gates are unlocked. I slip inside, weaving through towering stacks of crushed cars until I reach a rusted metal warehouse at the back. I knock frantically on the door. "Marcus, open up! It's Maya!" I yell over the sound of the rain. The heavy door slides open with a loud screech. A tall, rugged man with a graying beard and sharp, piercing eyes stands there holding a shotgun. He glares at me, then looks past my shoulder into the darkness before pulling me inside and slamming the door shut. "You're a fool for coming here, Maya," Marcus growls, setting the gun down on a workbench covered in computer monitors. "The police are tearing the city apart looking for you. They found your bloody fingerprints on the railing where your father fell." "It wasn't me, Marcus. It was Iris," I gasp, collapsing onto a metal chair. Marcus freezes. The anger drops from his face, replaced by a deathly paleness. "Iris. Oh God. Arthur didn't destroy the records. She's out. You knew about her?" I demand, anger flaring through my exhaustion. "Why did father hide her? Why did he frame me?" Marcus sighs, turning to one of his monitors and tapping the keyboard. "Arthur didn't hide her to protect you, Maya. He hid her because Iris is dangerous. She showed signs of severe psychopathic behavior when you were just children. But Arthur couldn't handle the scandal, so he checked her into a black site, psychiatric facility under a fake name and paid millions to keep it quiet." Marcus points to the screen. A restricted medical file pops up, showing a childhood photo of a girl with my exact eyes, next to the name Iris Vance. "But 3 days ago," Marcus continues, "someone hacked the facility's mainframe and released her. It wasn't an escape, Maya. It was an extraction. Someone let her out specifically to kill your father, Evelyn and Julian," I whisper, the puzzle pieces clicking into place. "They used her to get rid of father, and now they're using her to get rid of me." Suddenly, the lights in the warehouse flicker and die, plunging us into pitch blackness. The ambient hum of the computer servers cuts out, replaced by a suffocating silence. "The backup generator just tripped," Marcus whispers, his voice tense as he reaches for his shotgun. "Stay behind me." A soft, metallic thud echoes from the roof above us. Then, a monitor on the workbench flashes to life, powered by an independent battery. A video feed from the warehouse's exterior security cameras fills the screen. In the downpour outside, a sleek black SUV is parked. Standing right in front of the camera, completely unfazed by the rain, is a woman in a sleek leather jacket. She looks directly into the lens, holding up a remote detonator. It's me, Or rather, it's Iris, wearing my exact clothes from the night before. Her hair styled perfectly like mine. "Marcus!" I choke out, pointing at the screen. On the monitor, Iris smiles, blows a kiss to the camera, and presses the button. An instant later, the back wall of the warehouse explodes, inward in a deafening roar of fire and flying metal. The blast throws Marcus and me across the room. As I hit the floor, coughing through a thick cloud of dust and debris, I look through the gaping hole in the wall. Through the smoke, Iris steps into the ruins of the warehouse. But she isn't looking at me. She raises a silenced pistol, aims it directly at Marcus, who is pinned under a fallen steel beam, and pulls the trigger. Thumbnail suggestion. A dramatic high-contrast split screen. On the left, Iris smiling in the pouring rain while holding a remote detonator. On the right, the warehouse exploding into a massive fireball with Maya thrown into the air. With ultra-bold text overlay, my clone framed me. The silenced pitch of the pistol echoes through the roaring flames. Marcus's body goes completely limp beneath the steel beam, a dark crimson flower blooming across his chest. "No!" I scream, the sound torn from the raw depths of my throat. Iris turns her head toward me, the crackling fire illuminating the terrifying void in her eyes. She doesn't look angry. She looks bored. She slowly walks over to Marcus's body, kneels down, and presses his bloody, lifeless hand onto the handle of the gun she just used. "There," she whispers, her voice smooth as silk. A tragic murder-suicide. The fugitive Maya Vance comes to her uncle for help, gets rejected, and shoots him before turning the gun on herself. It's poetic, really. "They'll never believe it," I choke out, dragging myself backward through the rubble as she turns the weapon toward me. "The police will find the differences. They'll know." "With what evidence?" Iris laughs, taking a slow, predatory step forward. "This entire place is about to burn to ashes. And by tomorrow morning, I will walk into Vance Global as the grieving, traumatized heiress who finally came home after escaping her insane twin. I already have the flash drive with Father's secret bank codes. I don't need you anymore." She raises the barrel of the gun, aiming it straight between my eyes. My heart pounds against my ribs. This is it. This is how it ends. Clang! Out of nowhere, a massive iron crane hook hanging from the warehouse ceiling swings, violently through the smoke, smashing directly into Iris's side. The impact sends her flying across the room, her gun skittering away into the debris. I look up wildly. Through the thick smoke, a figure in a dark raincoat pulls a lever on the warehouse control panel. It's Julian, but he isn't here to save me. He looks down at Iris, then at me, an evil smirk plastered across his face. "Thanks for doing the dirty work, psycho!" he yells over the roar of the fire. But Evelyn and I decided we don't like sharing. 2 dead twins are much better than 1. Julian pulls a second lever, and the massive overhead fuel tank hanging directly above us begins to tear away from its bolts, tilting dangerously. Iris scrambles to her feet, clutching her ribs in pain. She looks at the falling tank, then locks eyes with me. For a split second, a terrifying realization flashes between us. Julian and Evelyn never planned to let either of us live. With a deafening screech of ripping metal, the fuel tank snaps completely free, plunging down toward the center of the warehouse. I throw myself behind a heavy iron workbench just as the tank explodes. A blinding flash of white-hot light consumes the room, followed by a shockwave that knocks me completely unconscious. When I finally open my eyes, the rain is pouring down directly onto my face. The warehouse roof has entirely collapsed. Everything around me is a blackened, smoldering wasteland. I groan, pushing a piece of charred metal off my legs, miraculously alive, but bleeding from a deep cut on my forehead. I look around the ruins. Julian is gone. Marcus is gone. And then I see it. A few feet away, lying face down in a puddle of muddy, bloody water, is a body wearing the exact leather jacket Iris wore. She isn't moving. Trembling, I crawl over and roll the body onto its back. I gasp, freezing in absolute horror. The face is completely unburned, staring blankly up at the rainy sky. It's my face. Iris is dead. Suddenly, the distance echoes of police sirens pierce the night air, growing closer by the second. They are tracking the explosion. I look down at Iris's body, then down at my own torn, bloody clothes. A desperate, insane, and terrifying idea begins to form in my mind. If the world thinks Maya Vance is a killer, and Iris is the one who was supposed to inherit the empire. I reach down with shaking hands and begin to unbutton her leather jacket. Thumbnail suggestion. A chilling, high-contrast split screen. On the left, Maya kneeling over her identical dead twin in the pouring rain. On the right, Maya putting on the twins' clothes with a wicked, determined look, with ultra-bold text overlay. I am becoming her. The rain washes the blood off Iris's lifeless face as I finish, pulling her heavy leather jacket onto my own shoulders. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely zip it up. I reach into her pocket and my fingers close around the cold, metallic edge of the silver flash drive. Father's secret codes. I look down at my sister one last time. I leave my own ID in her pocket. As of tonight, Maya Vance is dead in a ditch and I am Iris. Blue and red lights slice through the smoke-filled night. The police vehicles screech to a halt outside the ruined salvage yard. I throw my hands in the air, stumbling out of the rubble, letting myself collapse onto the wet asphalt right in front of them. Help! I sob, channeling every ounce of terror I've felt over the last 48 hours. Please help me. My sister, Maya, she went crazy. She killed my uncle. Paramedics rush forward, wrapping a warm blanket around my shoulders. Within hours, I'm sitting in a private room at the city hospital. A police detective standing guard at the door. They completely bought it. They think I am the long-lost twin who was hunted down by her fugitive sister. The door clicks open. I brace myself, forcing my expression into one of fragile, traumatized innocence. Evelyn and Julian walk into the room. Evelyn is wearing her signature black outfit, her face a mask of deep sorrow for the benefit of the police officer outside. But the moment the door shuts behind them, her face hardens into pure, venomous ice. Julian stands beside her, his arms crossed, staring at me like he's looking at a ghost. He knows he dropped a fuel tank on us. He just doesn't know which one of us survived. Oh, you poor, sweet girl, Evelyn purrs, walking over to my bedside and squeezing my hand so hard her nails dig into my skin. We were so worried when we heard about the explosion at Marcus's yard. The police told us Maya didn't make it. She leans down, her breath hot against my ear, whispering so low the guard outside can't hear. Which one are you? Because if you're Maya, you're a dead woman. And if you're Iris, you failed to finish the job. I look up at her, letting a cold, twisted smirk creep onto my face, the exact smile Iris gave me in the study. I look Julian straight in the eyes, unblinking. Julian, I say, my voice dripping with Iris's chilling, calculated malice. The next time you try to drop a fuel tank on me, you better make sure I'm dead. My ribs still hurt from that crane hook. Julian's face drains of all color. He stumbles back a step, his eyes wide with genuine terror. He thinks I am the psychopathic twin Iris. Evelyn breathes, a sickening smile returning to her lips. Good, then our deal stands. We split the Vance Global assets 3 ways, and we control the board. You get your freedom, we get our billions. Of course, I say smoothly, nodding, but we have to do the press conference tomorrow to announce my return to the company. We need to show the shareholders the empire is safe. Perfect, Evelyn says, patting my hand. We'll pick you up at 8. The moment they leave the room, my fake smile vanishes. I pull the silver flash drive from under my pillow. They think they are dealing with a psycho they can manipulate, but they are dealing with a daughter who wants justice. The next morning, the grand lobby of Vance Global is packed with hundreds of reporters, cameras flashing like strobe lights. Evelyn, Julian, and I stand behind a polished mahogany podium. Evelyn steps up to the microphone, wiping away a fake tear. Today, we mourn the tragic passing of Maya Vance, who was clearly disturbed. But we also celebrate the miraculous return of her twin sister, Iris, who will be taking her rightful place on the board. The crowd gasps and whispers. Evelyn steps back, gesturing for me to take the microphone. I step up to the podium, looking out at the sea of cameras. I look at Julian, who gives me a warning nod. I look at Evelyn, who smiles tightly. They think they own me. I insert the silver flash drive into the podium's laptop, which is connected directly to the massive broadcast screens behind us. Thank you, I say into the microphone, my voice echoing through the hall. I am glad to be here, but before we discuss the future of this company, there is something you all need to see about the night my father died. I press a button on the podium. Instead of the corporate presentation Evelyn expected, the massive screens behind us flash to life, displaying a hidden security camera angle from the night of my father's death. But it isn't Iris pushing him. The video clearly shows Arthur Vance backing away down the stairs, clutching his chest, while Evelyn stands at the top holding a syringe, and Julian blocks the exit at the bottom. The entire press room goes dead silent. Evelyn's jaw drops. her eyes darting to the screen in absolute horror. But before I can even savor the victory, my eyes drift to the very back of the press room. Standing in the shadows behind the last row of reporters, wearing a delivery cap pulled low, is a person holding a smartphone up, recording me. The person tilts their head up slightly. My breath completely catches in my throat. The microphone screeches as my hand shakes. It's a girl. She has my hair. She has my eyes. And she is holding up a sign written in bold black marker. You buried the wrong twin. Thumbnail suggestion. A massive split screen. On the left, Maya standing at a corporate podium as a video exposes her stepmother. On the screens behind her. On the right, an identical girl in the back of the crowd smiling creepily while holding the sign, with ultra-bold text overlay. She is still alive. The room dissolves into pure chaotic madness. Flashbulbs explode like firecrackers, and a wall of shouting reporters lunges toward the podium, screaming questions at Evelyn and Julian. But the roaring of the crowd sounds miles away. My eyes are locked on the back of the room. The girl with my face slowly lowers the sign, slips through the exit doors, and vanishes into the crowded corridor. It's impossible, my mind screams. I felt her pulse. I saw her body in the mud. Before I can run after her, two heavy hands grab my arms. Security guards pull me back into the private executive elevator alongside Evelyn and Julian. The doors slam shut, cutting off the press fury. What did you do? Julian roars, pinning me against the glass wall of the elevator, his face purple with rage. You psychotic bitch! You ruined us! Let go of me, I hiss, shoving him back with an icy glare that makes him hesitate. Look at the big picture, Julian. The video shows Evelyn with a syringe, and you blocking the stairs. I just handed the police your motives, but if you want to survive the next 10 minutes, you'll shut up and listen. Evelyn is hyperventilating in the corner, staring at her phone as the stock price of Vance Global plummets into the abyss. The police? They're already waiting downstairs, she whispers, her voice cracking. Iris, why did you betray us? Because you tried to kill me in that warehouse. I lie smoothly, keeping up the Iris persona. But right now we have a much bigger problem than the police. The elevator dings, opening into the secure underground parking garage. Standing right in the middle of the empty concrete lane is a sleek black motorcycle, smeared in wet mud across the windshield. Of the bike are 5 words written in red lipstick. Welcome to my nightmare, Maya. My blood turns to liquid ice. She didn't write Iris. She wrote Maya. Whoever is out there knows exactly who I am. She knows Iris is dead, and she knows I took her place. Julian rushes past me toward his armored SUV, ignoring the message, but as he unlocks the vehicle, the headlights flash twice and a robotic, pre-recorded voice blasts through the SUV's external speakers. It's my father's voice. A house built on secrets cannot stand. The recording of Arthur Vance echoes eerily through the concrete garage. My children will inherit the earth. My killers will inherit the fire. Get in the car now, Julian screams, completely losing his mind as he cranks the engine. Evelyn scrambles into the passenger seat. I stand frozen by the motorcycle. Suddenly, a small electronic device taped beneath the bike's handlebars blinks to life. A digital countdown timer appears, glowing in bright red numbers. 105, 04, 03. Julian, get out! I scream, throwing myself behind a massive concrete pillar. Art 01. An explosion rips through the garage, but it doesn't come from the motorcycle. Julian's armored SUV detonates into a violent, blinding fireball, lifting the heavy vehicle 3 feet off the ground. The shockwave shatters the concrete pillar above me, showering me in debris. The intense heat singes. My hair as the screams from inside. The burning car are abruptly cut short by a secondary explosion. Through the thick black smoke of the burning wreckage, my phone buzzes in my hand. I look down with blurred vision, tears streaming down my face from the smoke. It's a FaceTime call from an unknown number. I accept it with a trembling thumb. The screen lights up. The camera is pointing down at a cold, stainless steel table inside a dimly lit room. On the table lies an open medical folder with my father's signature on it. The camera slowly pans up, revealing a girl wearing a pristine white hospital gown. Her face is completely unblemished, her eyes sparkling with a terrifying genius level of insanity. Hello, Maya, she giggles, tilting her head. Did you really think Arthur Vance only had 2 daughters? Triplets are so much harder to hide. Thumbnail. Suggestion. A high-contrast split screen. On the left, Julian's luxury SUV exploding into a massive, fiery fireball in the concrete garage. On the right, a girl in a white hospital gown smiling wickedly on a phone screen, with ultra-bold text overlay. "There are 3 of us." The burning wreckage of Julian's SUV crackles in the background, filling the concrete garage with thick, toxic smoke. But the fire in front of me is nothing, compared to the absolute horror bleeding through my phone screen. "Triplets," I whisper, my voice completely hollow. The girl on the screen giggles, a sound so cheerful it makes my skin crawl. She adjusts the camera, showing a matching scar just below her collarbone, the exact same surgical mark Iris and I both had from an infancy operation. Our dear father didn't just have a dark secret. "Maya, he had an assembly line," she sneers, her tone suddenly dropping into venomous ice. "He kept you, the perfect little angel. He locked Iris away in a high-security asylum because she was messy. But me, he gave me to a black-budget research laboratory. My name is Violet, and I've spent the last 24 years being treated like a lab rat, while you played princess." "Violet, listen to me," I choke out, trying to buy time as I stagger away from the burning car toward the garage exit. "No, you listen," Violet snaps, her eyes widening with a manic glare. "Iris was a fool. She thought she could just kill father and take your place. I used her, I hacked the asylum, let her out, and pointed her like a loaded gun at Arthur Vance. And then, I watched on the cameras as you 2 idiots fought in the warehouse. Imagine my delight when you decided to steal her identity. You did half my work for me." Sirens are screaming outside the garage now. The sprinkler system abruptly turns on overhead, drenching me in cold metallic-tasting water. Hiss crying against the raging fire. "You killed Evelyn and Julian," I say, wiping the water from my eyes, keeping the phone lifted. I cleanse the slate. Violet corrects me smoothly. "They were parasites. But now the board is clear. Just you and me, sister. You're currently pretending to be Iris, which means legally, Maya Vance is already dead. If Iris dies today at the hands of the police for blowing up her family, then I step into the light as the sole surviving Vance heiress. The tragic hidden triplet who came to save the empire. They'll never believe you," I growl, pushing through the heavy exit doors into the rainy street. "They will when they find the remote detonator inside your jacket pocket." "Iris," Violet whispers with a sickening smile. My heart drops. I thrust my hand into the pocket of the heavy leather jacket I took off Iris's corpse. My fingers brush against a small plastic box with a blinking green light. It's a secondary transmitter. Violet didn't plant it on me. Iris must have had it on her. And by putting on her clothes, I walked right into the trap. "The police are tracking that transmitter right now," Violet purrs. "They think you're the terrorist who just assassinated your stepmother and brother. Goodbye, Maya. It was nice knowing you for 5 minutes." The screen goes dead. I rip the plastic device out of my pocket and fling it into a nearby storm drain. But it's already too late. 2 tactical police vans screech around the corner, blocking the street. Heavily armed officers burst out of the doors, raising their rifles, their lasers painting red dots directly onto my chest. "Freeze! Drop to the ground! Put your hands behind your head, Iris Vance!" A megaphone roars through the downpour. I look at the rifles. I look back at the corporate tower. If I surrender, I go to a maximum security prison for crimes I didn't commit. While Violet takes everything. If I run, they shoot. Suddenly, a massive, heavily armored delivery truck barrels down the street from behind the police line, smashing directly into one of the tactical vans, spinning it sideways and creating a chaotic wall of twisted metal. The driver's side door of the delivery truck flies open. A voice echoes from inside the dark cab. A voice I recognize instantly. "Get in if you want to live." Thumbnail. Suggestion. A high-contrast split screen. On the left, Maya standing in the pouring rain with multiple red sniper laser dots on her chest. On the right, a massive armored truck smashing through a police blockade, with ultra-bold text overlay. Framed by the third sister. I don't think. I just run. My boots splash through the heavy puddles as I sprint toward the armored delivery truck. Bullets whine through the air, punching holes into the asphalt around my feet. I dive into the passenger side, slamming the heavy door shut just as a hail of gunfire rattles against the reinforced steel plating. The truck roars to life, tires screeching as the driver throws it into reverse, smashing past another police cruiser before rocketing down a narrow, dark alleyway. I turn around, gasping for breath, ready to face whatever monster Violet sent to kidnap me. But as the streetlights flash through the cracked windshield, illuminating the driver's face, my voice catches in my throat. "Marcus?" I gasp. His face is pale, a thick white bandage wrapping tightly around his torso under his torn jacket, but his hands are steady on the steering wheel. I told you, Maya. Arthur built this family on secrets. Marcus growls through the pain, swerving the massive truck onto a dark warehouse highway. You think I didn't prepare for a psycho like Iris? I was wearing a Kevlar vest under my coat at the salvage yard. The bullet fractured 3 of my ribs, but it didn't punch through. Marcus, you don't understand. I stammer, my mind spinning. Iris is dead, but there's another one. A third sister. Violet. She's the one who orchestrated all of this. Marcus doesn't look surprised. He just tightens his grip on the wheel. I suspected it. Arthur's private journals mentioned a third facility, but he burned the files before I could find the location. Violet isn't just looking for money. Maya. She wants to erase every single piece of Arthur's bloodline to avenge what he did to her, and you're the last piece left. Where are we going? I ask, looking out the window as the city lights begin to fade into dense, foggy woods. To the belly of the beast, Marcus says, pulling the truck down a hidden dirt path obscured by overgrown branches. Arthur's original estate, the one he abandoned 20 years ago. If Violet was raised in a lab, she'd go back to the place where Arthur first started his experiments. That's where she's broadcasting from. 10 minutes later, the truck kills its headlights, rolling to a silent stop in front of a decaying, Gothic mansion swallowed by ivy. It looks like a tomb. Marcus reaches behind his seat and pulls out a heavy, tactical shotgun, sliding it into my hands. I can't go in there with these ribs. Maya, I'll keep the engine running and monitor the police scanners. You have to finish this. Stop, Violet. Get the original mainframe drive from inside that house. And clear your name. I grip the cold metal of the gun. The terrified running girl I was a week ago is gone. This jacket belongs to a dead psycho, but the blood running through my veins is raw survival. I step out of the truck into the freezing fog, walking up the crumbling stone steps of the abandoned mansion. The front doors are already unlocked, creaking open into a massive, pitch-black foyer that smells of damp earth and rotting wood. Guided only by the faint screen of my phone, I follow a low, mechanical humming sound deep into the basement of the house. The wooden stairs give way to cold industrial concrete. I push open a heavy steel door, and my jaw drops. Buried beneath the decaying mansion is a state-of-the-art, glowing white laboratory. Dozens of monitors line the walls, displaying live feeds of the Vance Global building, police radio frequencies, and me. A camera right above the door is tracking my exact movements. In the center of the room stands a massive glass-walled observation chamber. Inside the chamber, sitting elegantly on a white leather chair, is Violet. She's wearing a flawless designer suit, sipping champagne, looking at me like an amused queen. Welcome home, Maya. Violet's voice echoes through an overhead intercom system. You're just in time for the grand finale. I raise the shotgun, aiming it right at the glass. It's over, Violet. I have Marcus outside, and we have the proof to destroy you. Violet laughs, a beautiful, chilling sound. Oh, sweet sister. You think Marcus saved you? She taps a button on a control console next to her. One of the large monitors flashes to life, showing a live camera feed of the truck parked outside. My heart stops. Marcus isn't waiting in the driver's seat. He is strapped to a chair in the back of the delivery truck, gagged and bleeding from a fresh wound on his forehead, and sitting in the driver's seat of the truck, turning around to smile directly into the hidden camera, is Marcus. No, it's not Marcus. The person in the driver's seat slowly pulls off a highly realistic silicone mask, revealing a twisted, familiar face. It's Iris. Did you really think a little crane hook and a fire could kill me? Iris's voice rings through the lab speakers as she waves at the camera from the truck. Violet and I are partners, Maya. We always have been. And you just delivered yourself right to our doorstep. Before I can pull the trigger on the glass, the heavy steel doors behind me slam shut, and the sound of poisonous, white gas begins to hiss from the ceiling vents. Thumbnail suggestion. A terrifying split-screen layout. On the left, Maya trapped in a glowing white lab as gas fills the room. On the right, Iris peeling off a Marcus mask in the driver's seat of the truck. With ultra-bold text overlay. The twin is alive. The toxic white gas pours from the ceiling vents in thick, hissing plumes. I cough violently, dropping to my knees as my vision begins to blur. Inside the shatterproof glass chamber, Violet sips her champagne, watching my suffocating struggles, with the detached curiosity of a scientist looking at a lab rat. It's a beautifully simple design. Maya, Violet's voice purrs over the intercom. Iris handles the muscle and the messy cleanups. I handle the strategy. And you provide the perfect corpse to take the blame for everything. On the monitor behind her, the truck outside begins to move. Iris is driving Marcus away to finish him off. I have less than 2 minutes before my lungs fail, and my family's bloody history ends with me. Think, Maya, think. I look at the heavy tactical shotgun in my hands. Standard buckshot won't crack reinforced glass, and it won't open the sealed steel doors. But I don't look at the walls. I look up. The gas is pumping out of a central, heavy brass intake valve right above the glass chamber's filtration unit. With the last bit of oxygen in my lungs, I pull myself up onto a metal server rack. I aim the shotgun directly upward at the main, high-pressure gas line feeding the vents and pull the trigger. Boom! The blast tears the pipe completely open. A violent pressurized backdraft of toxic gas explodes backward into the system, overloading the lab's ventilation unit. The pressure variance triggers an emergency automatic override. With a loud pneumatic hiss, the heavy steel exit doors pop open, and the glass chamber holding Violet automatically slides upward to prevent her own suffocation. I collapse through the open door into the corridor, gasping for fresh, cold air, vomiting the toxins from my throat. Behind me, Violet stumbles out of the chamber, coughing and cursing, her pristine suit ruined by soot. But she isn't running away. Her eyes flare with a manic, feral rage. She pulls a silver scalpel from her pocket and lunges at me. I swing the empty shotgun like a club, smashing it into her wrists. The scalpel clatters away. We crash into the concrete floor, tearing at each other, two identical faces, fighting in the dark. She scratches at my eyes, but I channel every ounce of betrayal, every drop of pain from losing my father and my life. I grab her collar and throw her weight backward into the main server mainframe. A brilliant cascade of blue sparks erupts as her body shorts out the primary electrical grid. Violet screams as the high-voltage current surges through her. Before she collapses onto the floor, unconscious and twitching, the alarms blare. System critical. Self-destruct initiated. I sprint out of the basement, bursting through the mansion, doors just as the entire laboratory beneath the house begins to explode, tearing the old estate apart from the inside. Down the dirt path, the delivery truck's taillights are visible through the fog. Iris hasn't left yet. The electrical short circuit must have jammed the estate's automated iron perimeter gates. I sprint through the woods, cutting off the path, and throw myself onto the hood of the moving truck. Iris gasps, slamming on the brakes. Through the windshield, our eyes lock. The dead twin and the living clone. It's over, Iris. I scream over the roaring engine. Iris snarlingly throws the truck into reverse, trying to fling me off, but I scramble up to the roof, smash the small skylight over the cargo bay and drop inside. Marcus is tied to the chair, conscious but weak. Next to him is a heavy metal crowbar. I grab it just as the door separating the cab from the cargo bay flies open. Iris lunges through the opening, a tire iron raised in her hand. We clash in the back of the moving truck, metal smashing against metal in total darkness. She is stronger, driven by pure madness, but I am fighting for the truth. She drives the tire iron down toward my skull. I parry it with the crowbar, twist my body, and drive the blunt end of the bar directly into her knee. She screams, collapsing. Before she can recover, I kick the heavy side door of the delivery truck wide open. The foggy highway is flying past at 60 miles an hour. You're a glitch in the system, Maya. Iris spits, blood dripping from her lip as she tries to stand. Even if you kill me, you can never prove who you are. I don't need to prove who I am, I whisper, looking her dead in the eyes. Because the world already thinks I'm you. I smash the crowbar into her chest, throwing her completely out of the open door. Iris screams as she plummets into the dark, roaring river flowing directly beneath the highway bridge. The black water swallows her whole. 10 minutes later, I pull the truck over. I cut Marcus free, helping him lean against the steering wheel. Sirens are echoing in the distance. The police are finally arriving at the burning Gothic mansion. Maya. Marcus wheezes, clutching his ribs. We have to run. The police. They still think Iris Vance is a terrorist. I look at my reflection in the side mirror. I am wearing Iris's leather jacket. I have her flash drive with $4 billion in my pocket. Legally, Maya Vance died in a fire days ago. A cold, calm smile spreads across my face, a smile that would make my sisters proud. Let them look for Maya, I say softly, stepping out of the truck and melting into the shadows of the city. Iris Vance is about to inherit an empire.